Hi, this is Dr. Artis, and today I'm going to be talking about the power of the chiropractic adjustment because this is one thing that's happening in our country is that we're getting sicker and sicker. Our country is getting sicker and sicker and sicker every year. Every time I turn around, you see people laying in hospital bed, people are dying, and the older I get, the less people are living, and it's just really getting disturbing to the point where I think we're overlooking certain things. And I professionally think, and in my spirit is telling me that people can actually benefit from the power of the chiropractic adjustment. It's one of the things that actually can help a lot of people. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you how that's possible and how what we can do to do it. Look at this right here. There was a young man that actually suffered from a lot of different things, from asthma, from digestive problems. Didn't know that he was suffering from these things, and that young man was myself. Um, Grew up wanting to be a veterinarian, ended up going into a lab and discovering that I was allergic to rabbits. And so I started working with primates fresh out of college. And then I decided not to go to veterinary school, but end up getting into the pharmaceutical industry. So I am going around to different doctors' offices talking about how drugs can help the body. Now, on a recommendation of a friend, I ended up going to a chiropractor because I had some knee problems for trying to play basketball and end up having my body change. My body literally changed in front of my eyes. A lot of people don't know this, but my asthma went away. I started breathing better. I started to gain weight. I always been about 160 pounds, 165 pounds, always kind of slim with a pot belly. My body always is just completely changed. My digestion was better. I can't, recall that and ever happening before. And I was talking to the chiropractor one day. He said, "Man, you should become a chiropractor." And I felt like it was God talking to me in that moment. And when God was talking to me, I decided to drop everything and become a chiropractor. I wasn't 100% sure because I was listening to my flesh. It's like, man, you want to give this job up? You got a good job. You want to go back to school? You're going to be broke. And all these different things playing on my head. And one day I just woke up in the middle of the night and said, I'm going to do it. And I ended up, one of the best decisions I could have ever made in my life is listening to the Spirit guide me. And so here I was, a young man suffering and not even knowing it. I thought the things that I was going through was normal and not knowing that I could have got help a long time ago. I remember talking to my mom the last time I was home, and she was telling me about this instance where I had a asthma attack and it led into a panic attack because I was scared I was going to breathe. And I had these bunk beds and I was on the bottom bunk and it was just shaking because I was scared that I was going to stop breathing. And that's a scary feeling for a child. And so when that happened, I mean, my life was turned upside down. So I ended up dedicating my life to actually helping people that are suffering. It's not knowing that there is help out there. There's always hope that you could be better. And I want to make sure I help people instill that hope inside of them. So what the problem is in the United States is that we focus on the symptoms. We wait for stuff to show up. We wait for the weeds to come up out of the ground before we actually put the weed killer down. And some of the people that have some of the most beautiful lawns, and when you talk about grass, I'm a male, I love my grass, I love taking care of my grass, is that I put the weed killer down before the weeds even pop up. Because once the weeds come up, you can pull them up or you can just cut them off at the ground, but the weeds keep growing. And that's the same thing that we do in the United States. We focus on symptoms so much that we're not getting to the root cause of the problem. And that's what chiropractic does. That's why the title of this presentation is The Power of the Chiropractic Adjustment. You know, you can cut down it all day, but they're going to keep coming back. So until we actually address the root cause of the problem, which chiropractic does, we don't say you need to go take painkillers to actually get rid of your low back pain. We go and find out what nerves are being impacted and what's causing that pain to remove that pressure off those nerves to actually restore that function back. And that's what we call a subluxation. And that's how we fix that. So what happens is the problem of the impact of that, what's happening is people are constantly in more pain. They're getting more headaches, low back pain, neck pain. They're on more medications, obviously, because they're chasing the symptoms. All medications do is really help the symptoms. And they're getting way more surgeries than they need to. You know, how many people that are getting like knee replacements, that are getting hip replacements, that if they would have had their body structured right and they would have let their bodies heal properly, they wouldn't even been in the situation they're in. And so many people are focusing on those things. And so what that's doing is just causing the pharmaceutical companies to become really rich And then so they bought out the government. And so now that the government is saying that we're going to set the rules based off of what the pharmaceutical companies pay us and tell us to do. And so it's not really genuinely concerned about our true health and well-being anymore. It's really about making money. And that's one of the things that's happening. So you want to make sure that your body's being put in the best position to actually be 100% healthy. This is the way to do it. And you can't negate the power of the chiropractic adjustment should not be left out of the conversation. Here we are again, we're talking about the cause of focusing on those things. You know, what's causing these things to happen, right? So number one thing, we call them the 3 T's in my office and in the chiropractic profession. The most important thing that I see that's causing a lot of these different things is emotional stress, emotional thoughts, like negative thoughts that are actually driving us, whether it's financial, whether it's relationship, whether it is, so many different things of just not feeling good about yourself, low self-esteem, being overweight, obese. These things, these emotional thoughts are driving us to the point where people are being put on medications. They're actually putting in hospitals for mental wards. Right now, with us just coming out of a pandemic or probably still in a pandemic, people are still suffering mentally. And a lot of these emotional negativity thoughts are being affected by us. What happens and why this is so important is because this causes us to live in what we call a fight or flight symptom. So it causes us to live in a parasympathetic dominant state, which we're always living in survival mode. We never really get a chance to live in that flight mode to where our bodies can rest and repair, which is what we call a parasympathetic nervous system. And secondly, the second thing we look at here is the chemical toxins that we put in our body. Chemical toxins are horrible. These are things from things being ingested in the food. I found a perfect picture with a tomato right here that's actually has chemicals put in the tomato to actually make the tomato bigger, to make it redder, all these different things that people can do. You look at one of the most genetically modified foods, which is soy and corn. I mean, those things right here is happening all in front of our noses and nobody's regulating it. You're looking at different foods and meats that we eat that is being injected with steroids to increase the size of the animal so that farmers and the producers can make more money. And we're ingesting that stuff and it's causing us to become very sick. Now, what that can do is that can throw off the chemical imbalance in the body. It can cause us to become dehydrated. It can throw off our digestion, which is a big problem as far as us being 100% healthy now is gut health. And then last but not least, the one thing that we all know that can actually cause a lot of different things is the physical traumas. These are things like slips and falls, car accidents that happen with our bodies. These things right here are things that you don't even think about, like poor posture, right? You also have things like carrying a heavy backpack or purse. I see ladies with heavy purses. They're carrying it. One shoulder's higher than the other, and they're walking around like that for years. And instead of having their body nice and level, that's one of the things that actually can cause your body to wear down so much faster, and then it'll put pressure on those joints, which then irritates the nerves and causes pain. So those three are things that we call the 3 T's. So we got thoughts, toxins, and traumas, which are emotional, chemical, and physical. Now, here's the solution. This is me performing a specific scientific chiropractic adjustment, just removing the dangerous pressure off the spine that's caused by those 3 T's, the thoughts, traumas, and toxins. What I'm doing is I'm palpating down the spine to actually feel where it's stuck and where the subluxations are, the vertebrae that are shifted in the wrong position, and then just removing that pressure to allow life to flow from above, down, inside, and out throughout the body. And then the organs, the muscles, and the cells can get all the energy they need. The solution, the power of the chiropractic adjustment. These 3 things are going to happen constantly, repeatedly, over and over in your life. You're always going to have physical traumas, chemical traumas, toxins we can't really avoid. I mean, we can try to minimize them as much as we can by eating more organic. And then we can also try stress management. But how this works right here is that I talked about the 2 different nervous systems before, where you got the parasympathetic and you got the sympathetic. Now, with the parasympathetic nervous system, which is like fight or flight. So that's what our body perceives and we're in a needed stress. So we get into that state when we need to get out of a stressful situation. And one of the things that happens is that's coming down from the brain. The brain doesn't know stress from fear sometimes, because what happens is it can actually, we might be scared of something which could cause us stress. It can cause our nervous system to be in that fight or flight mode. So everything constricts. So you actually get about 50% less blood flow to the liver. and other organs. And so it pushes more blood flow to the muscles to get out of that stressful situation. And so when that pushes less blood flow to major organs, that causes your body not to repair, digestion not to happen, reproduction not to happen. Sometimes people cannot get pregnant just by simply understanding that concept because they're in that fight or flight mode. Then you got the parasympathetic nervous system, which you can see is where the body repairs. That happens when you're asleep, when you're actually resting. And one of the things, that's when your body's healing. That's why if you look at any hospital setting, they don't have treadmills around in there and gyms. They have beds so people can lay there and just literally rest. And what they're doing is they're resting, they're putting the right nutrition in their body, and their body is healing and repairing itself, supposedly. And of course, they do some other things in there, but what happens is this is a very delicate thing because the brain controls everything, as you see in this top slide up here. It's part of the head, and it sends messages down that spinal cord. And that energy goes up and down that spinal cord through those nerves to all those organs. And so those vertebrae, the two jobs of the vertebrae is to keep us upright, which is our posture. And the second one is to actually protect the spinal cord. Now, in life, those individual vertebrae can shift. And when they shift and they put pressure on those nerves, that can cause that whatever that nerve supply to decrease in function. That's the basic concept of chiropractic. And when that decreases in function, that causes a lot of other things to happen in the body to backfire. And then your body starts to break down slowly. Now, here's the thing with your body. Your body's always breaking down and repairing, breaking down and repairing, breaking down and repairing. If your body keeps breaking down and you're not repairing as fast, you're going to eventually die. That's what happens with a lot of times with seniors. Sometimes their bodies are starting to break down at a more rapid pace than it is repairing. And so eventually the body will shut down. Now, that can happen at us at an early age, too. That's why some people look older than they actually are, because their body, their skin is breaking down. It's not repairing. And so what happens is we need to actually not have anything to interfere with that process. If we can slow down the interference of that process and remove any interference from that nervous system to allow 100% function to happen, for life to flow from above, down, inside, and out, and for that brain to be fully connected with no interference and that energy flow, which we call innate intelligence. Some people call it God, some people call it Mother Nature, to flow up and down that spinal cord throughout to those organs, the body's going to repair itself and it's going to do what it's going to do. You can actually slow down that slow down that aging process, and you can take care of your body. Now, here's some proof right here of all, not some of the patients, of some of the probably hundreds of thousands, almost patients that I can't even count how many patients I have. This is my very first patient, the second picture right here. I mean, she's still with me today. She still comes in, and this was probably 16 years ago. I mean, chiropractic helped her with, her cervical spine. When she came in, it took me a year to actually get her neck to move because she has so much degeneration, and it was affecting her fingertips to the point where they were becoming numb. And so we worked on it, and when we finally got her vertebrae to move in her neck, she literally was in tears, not because of pain, because of relief. I mean, a year, she was committed 100% to the process. And that's what it's going to take a lot of times to be 100% committed. This is another patient right here that's been here for a while. It's helped her with her blood pressure. I mean, she had one incident where her and her husband got into it, and she was in the hospital because her blood pressure got up so high, they said, you're going to have a stroke. But this lady's 79 years old and still kicking it hard, still drives around us and travels more than all of us across the country, visiting family and friends, and hardly on any medications. This has helped her with the movement of her thumbs, with interference of thumbs, helping her with loving herself, helping her with just her attitude and her body functioning better. She had chronic migraine headaches, this person right here, to the point where she was taking medications for the migraine headaches and did not know that an upper cervical vertebrae adjustment to remove that pressure off the top part of the neck caused that to shift over and actually just allow the body to flow perfectly through. And when that flows through like that, it actually is going to just make sure that the headaches are minimal, if not any at all. This right here is a medical doctor, Dr. Chen. She came in, she had low back pain from standing up, bending over patients all the time. This lady is an avid runner, helped her. I mean, there's so many different stories. And here's another.
Jig, I feel so much better.
All right. So what happened a couple weeks ago?
Oh, I was on the floor.
Okay.
I was in so much pain, I could not even talk.
Okay.
Okay? It was like end-stage labor.
Yeah.
For 2-3 weeks.
But now you're doing good.
Oh! I believe it dropped. No pain. driving here.
Oh, I'm so proud. Look
Right?
at you.
I'm just excited. I'm like, come on, give me another treatment.
Yes.
So just with that being said right here, to me, chiropractic is probably one of the best alternatives. And what unfortunately the thing while I'm doing this presentation too is that people look at it as the last alternative. And I want you to look at it as the first alternative and the best alternative, because people in the line for pills and surgery, and as you can see, it's not working. You know, one of the things I always say, you could take if you have high blood pressure and you take a pill, you still got high blood pressure. You know, doctors say you can actually lifestyle change, lose some weight, and you can get off the medication. People will still eat the same thing and still do the same things instead of making a lifestyle change. Well, chiropractic is a lifestyle change. It's not just you coming in and getting popped and cracked. You're coming in and getting a specific chiropractic adjustment to actually remove the interference and actually learn a healthy lifestyle at the same time. I don't know too many places to where you can do that in a medical facility. And so what I want to do here today is I want to take a couple minutes just to thank you for just listening to me today. You could have been somewhere doing anything else you wanted to do, you know, but what I want you to realize too is I don't want you to go down the road and realize that, man, this is something that I probably should have been doing a long time ago, right? And I didn't do it. And then you look 10 to 20 years from now, and you said, man, I listened to that chiropractor and I should have done what he was saying and I didn't. And now I regret it, right? What if you actually listen to what I'm saying and then you actually applied it, went out and got adjusted on a regular basis, and you actually had better health than you could imagine where you are right now? And you said, man, I thank God that he sent this young man to come and tell me the message he's telling me, so now I can actually do it. You have abundant health and more than you thought. I mean, your body is capable of so many amazing things that it could do. And so many people are suffering out here and they'd rather pop a pill. It's just doesn't make sense to me. So one of the things that I'm offering is what I always tell people to do is get a functional exam. A functional wellness exam is where we come in, we look at your posture to make sure you're in the right alignment, number one. We actually do range of motion to see how far you can turn and twist and bend over and touch your toes, all those things, and squat. I mean, there are researchers saying that if you can't do some of these things, that you won't live to be a certain age. That's the reality of it. So also, we're going to take some pictures of your spine. This is a picture of me going over a report of findings with a patient, looking at her spine and looking at what she needs to do to actually restore her body back to 100% function for her, because the function for everybody is going to be different. Okay. If you're 80 years old, your function is going to be different than a 25-year-old. So we just got to find out what's right for you. Okay. And then at least one of the things that if you don't follow through with care, you actually know exactly where you are. And you've actually said, man, I've done that. I understand what I need to do going forward. Now, some of the benefits of that too is that you're going to move better. That's one of the number one things that my patients say, and numerous of patients for chiropractors around the world, is that they move better. You know, they're able to move and twist. They got better digestion, better sleep, and they got decreased pain, if not any pain at all. We're squeezing that pain out, right? And that's what we want to do. Now, with this being said right here, for all this, I want you to be the best for yourself. Some people might say, hey, you know what? I've been to a chiropractor before. It didn't work for me. Number one thing I want to say is that you didn't have all three of these things in order. Your body, right? This is your senses. This is your touch. This is your muscle tone. We're working with those different things. But if your soul is not right, it doesn't matter how much you work on your body. If your spirit is not right, it doesn't matter how much you work on your body. So all three of these things have to be in alignment. And us as Christians, you can appreciate the scripture that goes with the body. You got to honor your body as you're honoring God. And then you also got to feed your soul. You got to make sure that you're guarding that right there. And in the spirit, you know, it's one of the things that we got to protect. You know, that's what we're actually, the battle is not in flesh with your knee pain. The battle is not in the hips and stuff like that. The battle is in the spirit. And if we get the spirit right and then get the body right and keep the soul right, oh, they're going to be unstoppable. That's how you can be the best version of you. So I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. I thank you for actually doing this. If you want to get in contact with me, you can go to my website. It's www.healthonearth.org or drjohnartis.com. And again, my name is Dr. John Artis. Thank you for your time. God bless.